In this video, I'm going to be going over everything we know about the new upcoming map, the Center Ascended. We have a decent amount to talk about, as well as some unexpected news that we got, so we're going to be going over all of that in this video. First off, I want to go over the release date. It was originally said to come out June 3rd, but they've since delayed it to June 4th, so just a day delay. So it's honestly not that bad. I'm not sure why they decided to delay it just by a day though. As last time when they delayed Scorched Earth by a day, it was because it was on the weekend and they wanted it to be on a weekday, but it was already going to come out on Monday, June 3rd, but now it's going to come out Tuesday, June 4th. Also, another reason I'm not sure why they delayed it is they already have a huge reputation of delaying stuff, so I feel like this would just add on to that reputation just by delaying it by a day, so I don't really understand why they did that, but either way, it's going to come out June 4th, and they've confirmed that date multiple times now, so it sounds like it's definitely going to be coming out then, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was another delay. First thing we need to talk about is the Shastasaurus. This is a brand new creature that's going to be coming, and it's going to be exclusive to the center, and honestly, this one has like a ton of unique mechanics that we're going to be going over, so let's just get right into it. So first off, wild, it's basically going to act like an Ichthyornis, where they basically like come up to you and like will examine you because they're really curious. They believe these things will do the exact same thing. They'll basically swim up to you and then check you out, except for these things are a lot bigger, so I imagine it's going to be a lot weirder than just having some ichthyes come up to you, because these things are massive. And I believe this is because they're part of a similar family. I'm not exactly like super detailed in all of that, but I'm pretty sure that's why. And then also when it comes to the taming method, you're basically going to have to scrape barnacles off of it with a sickle, what it sounds like for the dossier. So it sounds very similar to the Mega Chalon, which is notoriously a very horrible and very scrutinizing taming method. So we'll have to see how this one works out when they do eventually end up adding it. And you can also see that this thing is pretty large compared to just a regular human. It is quite massive, so I'm not sure if it's going to be like bigger than a lead Sictus or Tuso. It might end up being massive, and of course from this other picture here you can see it looks massive too, so it's kind of hard to tell compared to other creatures like Tusos and lead Sictus and stuff. We'll have to see how big it is compared to those, but this looks like it's going to be one of the biggest ocean creatures in the game. It also has another ability that's kind of like a sonic boom ability. It basically uses echolocation, I think. And you can either shoot like a giant blast of some sort of like echolocation in a small radius to deal some like damage, or do like a stun, and then you can like basically widen it out and then do a bigger one that way. I think it's more of a stun. I don't think it does damage, but I could be wrong, and we don't really know exact details on that ability either. And now moving on to the main function of this creature, the Submarine saddle. And as you can see from this recent picture they posted, it looks a little bit different than the dossier and what originally was concepted. So in the original, even in the dossier, it has the saddle on top of it. So, you know, that's what everyone thought, that's what the concept was, but as you can see, now that we have this render, it doesn't look like that. It's basically underneath it, and then it's like attached to it. So there's actually a reason they give for that in the recent community crunch. Basically they said they wanted to make this saddle close to a submarine, very like, you know, like the original concept for it was. So in order to do that, they couldn't really make it on top of the Shastasaurus. I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm assuming, I guess they just made it more difficult to make it act like a submarine. So the only way they could really do it was by making it go underneath it instead. And it looks kind of weird, but maybe I'll get used to it. It is cool at the same time. This thing definitely does look like a submarine, and I've been wanting a submarine in the game for a while, so seeing this thing in the game is going to be pretty dope. And like a lot of people speculated and thought maybe it wouldn't happen, but it ended up being true. As you can see, we can put dinos in here. If you look at the front, which is obviously someone in another submarine, you can see there's like a baby parasaur and a dodo, but if you look at the back and the other one, you can actually see a therizinosaur in there. So you can see these things are, first off, going to be really large if a therizinosaur is that small in there. But also in the original concept, it showed a therizinosaur, so I kind of find that as a nice little detail. And this thing also has torpedo missiles as well. We knew about this from the original dossier, but we can also see the torpedo missiles in action in this like in-game render as well in the new picture that we got. So lots of exciting things here. We finally get to see what the submarine saddle looks like. Honestly, I was not expecting them to drop a picture with the submarine saddle. I was just expecting them to just not say anything until the DLC or the map actually came out, and then they would just show it off. But they actually did show it off. They showed the progress, and they kind of detailed out in the community crunch what exactly they've been working on with this and why it was so hard, because like I said, it was really hard because actually making it to where water wasn't inside of the submarine, and was on the outside was really hard for them to try and do, because obviously that's a mechanic we don't have in Ark. We don't really have anything like it, so I guess it does make sense that this thing would have been pretty difficult to try and make, but it looks like they've got it off. And with that, there's going to be some other information as well, which I'm about to go over in a second. So when the center was first announced to be coming out on Ark Ascended in early like February or something, when they basically said it was going to come out before they ended up like delaying it and stuff, they said the Shastasaurus was going to be delayed and wouldn't be coming with the center, and instead the Gigaraptor would be coming out with the center. And of course that did end up changing. The center basically ended up getting indefinitely delayed, and the Gigaraptor came out for the island, and obviously the Shastasaurus ended up being put back on the center. But when that happened, obviously there's a lot of people asking why this happened and why they changed it. And of course, back then it was explained the same reason that we know now, that's basically made all these changes and having basically the saddle go underneath it, is they were having lots of trouble figuring out how the saddle would actually work. And with that, someone also asked if they would change the platforms dinos and like rafts and stuff, and how that would work, basically like how the physics on those things would be affected because of the Shastasaurus changes in the saddle. And Jeremy Stiglitz, which is the main, or one of the main developers for Ark, basically said that it would, which basically means that stuff like rafts and maybe even platform saddles as well are going to get the physics changes to be made a lot better. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be affected, but it will be affected, and it will be a big improvement. So I'm really excited to see how those improvements are going to work for stuff like rafts and stuff when they do come out with the center. But that is all the changes about the Shastasaurus that we know about, and all of the effects it's going to have on the game with the new saddle and all of that. I'm very excited to see how it works, and definitely excited to test out this new Submarine saddle, especially now that it's confirmed that we'll be able to bring dinosaurs into its saddle as well. It's some very cool stuff. But of course, now we're going to be just talking about the center Ascended as it is, and honestly we don't really know too much. All we know is about the Shastasaurus, and we know the release date. When it comes to the map itself, we haven't been really given too much details if there's going to be anything new coming at all. There's a few things I've thought about. I mean, first off, we have this picture here, and it looks a lot more jungly, a lot more foliage. Now, this is probably just for promo art. Maybe they will make it look like that, though. I kind of hope they do, because this looks really sick, but honestly, I'm not really expecting them to. Also, when the center was first announced to be coming out June 3rd, they said it was going to be 2 times bigger, but that was actually a typo, and they meant to say it's 2 times bigger than the island, which is how it was on normal like Ark. So it's not going to be 2 times bigger. If you did hear that and think that, that's not true. It's just a typo. So it would be cool if they're 2 times bigger, but it's not going to be. It's still going to be quite an upgrade, though. I'm definitely excited to see, because I've always kind of not really had as much fun on the center, because I always felt it was really outdated. So getting a remaster and bringing it up now to basically new Ark standards, it's going to be really cool, and I'm excited to see what it's going to be like, especially with the Shastasaurus. But that's pretty much all we know. I also was thinking maybe they might introduce a new like boss. I doubt they're going to do this, but maybe since they don't have a boss on the center, and for the new custom maps they've released new bosses with them, like the Crystal Wyvern Queen, Dinopithecus King and stuff, maybe they'll introduce like a Shastasaurus King or something, because they usually do like whatever exclusive creatures on there, they would make that the boss. So they could do that. I doubt they will, though, because everyone was also saying that was Scorched Earth and they didn't do that, but who knows, maybe they will. I think they do need to, because just having a boss arena that's the 2 same bosses we've already had kind of isn't, I mean, it's still fine. The boss arena is really cool, but the bosses themselves isn't that great. But that's gonna be it. That's all we know about the Center Ascended. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.